Hey everyone! So today we're going to talk about something really important in the world of sports, mental health. We're going to explore this really cool project called MindFit, which was built from the ground up to tackle this challenge head on. All right, let's just jump right in with a number that kind of stops you in your tracks. According to a 2023 study from Overbo and his colleagues, 44.3%. That's the percentage of athletes who reported struggling with mental health problems. Wow, I mean, that's nearly half of all athletes. A number like that, it's not just a data point on a chart. It represents a huge, often invisible struggle that athletes are dealing with every single day, long after the crowds have gone home. And if you dig a little deeper into that research from Overbo's team, you see it's not just one thing. The issues they reported were all over the map. We're talking sleep problems, anxiety disorders, even OCD. It just goes to show you how complex this crisis really is. So this begs a really big question, right? Is this problem somehow unique to the world of sports, or is it just a reflection of what's happening everywhere? Let's try to put this into perspective. Now, here's what's so striking. This is not some isolated issue. There's a whole body of research from Gutabarsh and his team in 2017, Keelik and colleagues also in 2017, and Race's group back in 2016, and they all point to the very same thing. The rates of mental health issues among athletes are, at the very least, similar to what you'd find in the general population. And just to give you that baseline, a 2015 study by Bauman found that every year, about 1 in 5 people, just regular people, suffer from a mental health problem. So yeah, the numbers are definitely lining up. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that athletes are not superhuman. They are not immune. They're fighting the exact same battle as everyone else. But, and this is a big but, they're often doing it with these incredible, unique pressures of competition, being in the public eye, and just intense physical strain. This brings us to a really critical point where the system seems to be breaking down. I mean, if we know the problem is this widespread, then why aren't athletes getting the support they so obviously need? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle, it lies with their coaches. You see, research from Bizet, Crotius, and Heberd back in 2020 really puts a spotlight on this. They argue that coaches are right there on the front lines. They're absolutely essential in creating a team culture that actually cares about mental well-being. Okay, but here is the massive disconnect. A survey of 50 trainers found something pretty shocking. An overwhelming 90%, that is 9 out of every 10 coaches, admitted that they just didn't feel competent enough to handle their athletes' mental health struggles. And it's so important to get this right. This is not about coaches not caring. It's not a failure of coaching. It's a failure of the system to give them the specific skills, the training, and the resources they need to do this crucial part of their job well. This gap in the system was laid bare by Purcell, Gwither, and Rice way back in 2019. They pointed out that there's just a widespread lack of any real framework or structured program inside sports organizations to even begin to address this. So how do we start to fix this? Well, this is where Project MindFit enters the picture. It's an initiative that was literally born out of this crisis, designed from the ground up to fill these very specific, very critical gaps. And MindFit didn't just pop up out of thin air. It actually grew out of an earlier project that was focused on youth mental health, called Building Resilience. The creators saw this clear, evidence-based need for something more focused, something just for the world of sports. So the strategy is super logical and direct. It's broken down into 4 key steps. First, you identify that need for a real, structured program. Second, you focus on building up the skills of the trainers themselves. Third, you give them ready-made materials to make it easy to implement. And finally, you create a whole system of support for both the trainers and, of course, the athletes. And a huge part of its strength is that it's a collaborative effort. It brings together the power of 2 different organizations, IDI, which has tons of experience in the sports world, and Neo Talentway, which brings that deep expertise in creating really high-quality psychological development training. So what does all this add up to? Well, it's basically a whole new game plan for sports. It's about redefining what it really means to be match fit. The end goals here are crystal clear. You want to equip trainers with actual skills. You want to seamlessly slide a mental health program into the training routines that already exist. And maybe most importantly, you want to build a team culture where mental well-being gets the same attention as physical conditioning. And that really leaves us with a final, pretty powerful question to think about. What would the world of sports actually look like if an athlete's mental fitness was trained just as seriously and just as openly as their physical fitness? Something to think about.